hello, and welcome to the Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell TV show. I want to thank you all for watching. We are absolutely rocking here at SCCT. I want to thank everyone behind the scenes that is doing such a wonderful job to make us look like $10 million in front of the camera. But this is a very, very wonderful show. Absolutely spoiled. Not only that God woke me up this morning, which is a wonderful thing, but for me to have a very, very special guest. She's a home girl, which means that we're from the same area. And I would like for you all to meet a good friend of mine from high school, Sandra Streeter. Hey, Sandra, how are you?
Hey. Hey, everybody.
Good. Sandra, it may be vision impaired, but I bet her sight is better than ours. She sees it.
I'm aiming for that.
Amen. She understands a lot more than we may even give her credit for. Yes, and the thing about being vision impaired is that her other senses, they do perk up because they have to. And it's so natural for her to be that way. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that sometimes the blind see better than the sighted. So, Sandra Streeter, how have you been, first of all?
I have been great. I have had plenty to keep me busy. I have a kitty that needs my attention as well. Great family, great church, great community. So, very well.
Outstanding. So now, we lost contact like most people do after high school. Since high school, we are a Fitch High School class of 83, best class ever.
Absolutely.
And Sandra, since high school, tell me and tell others a little bit what you have been up to.
Okay, so I graduated high school in '83, as Herbie just said. And after that, started out at Avery Point thinking I was going to go into social work. Then ended up at Barrington College in Rhode Island, which no longer exists. Unfortunately, had to merge with Gordon College. And finished my BA in youth ministry at Gordon College. Then worked at Mystic Color Lab for about a year and a half. And found that transportation got to be an obstacle. So I said to myself, okay, what else can I do? Maybe I should study blind rehabilitation because I'm blind. Maybe that'll work. Graduated with an MA in blind rehabilitation. It really wasn't for me, but I learned a lot that I carry into my life and understand low vision better than I ever could have without it. And most of us have some residual vision, most blind people, which is something people don't know.
Now, what is that? What is that?
So low vision is anything, well, legally blind, let me put it this way, is anything from acuity of 2200 or less in the best corrected eye, and or a visual field of, I believe it's 20 degrees or less. So you can have vision where you can see what a normal person would see at 200 feet. You would have to be 20 feet away from it.
Wow.
Or less. Or you can have a paper towel tube that you're staring through.
Yes.
If, say that you have something like, you know, macular degeneration, the center field is shot. If you have glaucoma, then you've got good center field but bad periphery. So there's a whole bunch of different things that can cause the eyes to be what they call legally blind.
So you were blind from birth?
I was premature, and it came from the treatments. They used to think it was because you got too much oxygen, but I'm a believer in a later theory that it had more to do with the lighting in the NICUs, in the neonatal units.
It's very bright.
Yes, very bright.
Oh, interesting.
So, and we had immature retinas at that age, and they just couldn't handle it. So, you know, and there are varying grades of that as well.
Wow.
So I ended up with the worst one, which is okay.
That's amazing you say that, because I think about my kids being born, and that OR is bright.
Yes,
I mean, and no one has touched on that.
No, and very few. It's still, you know, the myth about the oxygen is still very prevalent. But look at it this way, they're putting shields over kids' eyes in the neonatal units now, and the incidence of what they call ROP, which is retinopathy of prematurity, which is what I have, has declined radically.
Oh.
So that should tell you something.
Oh, that is amazing. Now, we're 60 babies, so
I know, right?
they had no clue.
No.
It's always about trial and error.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
somebody has to go through it for someone else not to go through it. And I so understand that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Sandra, currently, right now, what are you doing in the community? What are you doing in the churches? What's going on with you?
Okay, so one of the big highlights for me right now is that I'm part of a book study in the church that I go to that has actually expanded to other churches around the country.
Yes.
And it is a book called Reading While Black.
Reading While Black.
And,
I'm listening.
Esau Macaulay is the author.
Yes.
And it's fantastic. It's a book about scriptural hope, and was a real eye-opener for my church, which is predominantly white.
Yep.
And so we hooked up with these other churches, and we're redoing the study with them. Most of them are black. We have one AME church. We have other churches, California, North Carolina. I believe there might even be some Texas people.
Wow.
And
across the
so
country.
we're trying to mend some of the rifts that we're
yeah.
seeing in society. The best thing we can do is love each other, be an example to the world of, the fact that race needs not to be a barrier amongst us. And unfortunately, it's being, I don't know how to put it, but stirred up to be that way, and it doesn't need to be that way.
Right. There are so many things that you just touched on that we could have
it's a
an
tinderbox.
hour-long conversation.
Yes.
You touched on so many things. There's quite a few examples that I use or exercises that I use. And being an owner at Bagwell Academy of Martial Arts, I've learned to do so many programs with kids, and there's three most notably. This Saturday, obviously, I will not be here, but this Saturday is called Bring a Friend Day at Bagwell Academy of Martial Arts. And I'm in the suburbs, I'm in Milford.
Right.
And I like doing different exercises almost at the end before we eat the pizza and the soda and the juice for the kids. We have a good time. But for a good 90 minutes, we're having a lot of games, and they're communication games and how well people can communicate with each other. And it's got to be what they call effective communication to get the prize. And I think with a lot of adults today, Sandra, we're lacking in that effective
so
communication. We're so lacking in that. Because if you look at 2020 and all the atrocities that were happening to black people and women and men and indigenous people and all this Asian hate that's been going on lately, it's all about ineffective communication. Nobody wants to listen. And I've learned coming up through the ranks at 56 years of age now, where when I'm in a conversation, I'm not listening to reply. I'm listening to understand.
Absolutely.
And that's where a lot of people are missing the boat. What do you think?
I believe you.
Yes.
I see it all the time in my studies and in my personal interests. One of my big things is communication. I have a particular friend who we thrive on great communication, and we really work at it. And if more people could learn to love each other and to communicate with each other in ways that are going to be beneficial to both, the world would be such a better place.
Right. Now, what else do you want people to know about Sandra Streeter?
Oh my goodness, I have a list here.
I'm listening.
All right, so this is from least important to most important, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
First of all, I've been a writer since about 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
So someone saw a potential in me, apparently, one of my teachers, and one day she goes, oh, you, and you, come down the hall with me to this other classroom. So we all go. And I thought, oh my God, what did I do? But it turned out that she wanted us to learn to write short stories,
Wow.
And it was like, I'd never thought about writing myself. I knew about writers that I liked, but I never thought I could do it, or
Absolutely.
considered that it would be something fun to do. And so that's where it all started. And I started writing poetry seriously when I was 16.
Wow.
And did well in my coursework with essays and such. And that's been a great ride. So that's thing number 5.
Yep.
Thing number 4 is I have a strong interest in autism and neuroscience.
Now, let's go ahead and embark on that. Where did that come from?
I don't really know. I think I was maybe in about 8th grade, which is about when we started to know each other, and heard about autism and saw a part of a Quincy episode about a character with autism. And the idea that a certain subset of people wanted to keep themselves in their own little bubble was just fascinating to me. And I'm the type of person, I love psychology. I love to ask all the time, what makes this person tick? And that's really where it started.
Wow.
Yep. And then I
would
started
like to
reading
know that.
books over time.
Yes.
And now I'm totally fixated there. Anything I can get my hands on about autism that isn't some kind of a dry research paper, I'm in.
Right.
And neuroscience, same thing. As I got into the autism lit, I got into what happens neurologically, and that it is a neurological issue. And so Oliver Sacks, he's my man.
Right.
So, yep.
That's amazing. Now, what makes people tick? Oh my gosh.
It's fascinating.
We could
isn't it?
spend an hour,
Absolutely.
2 hours on that.
Oh,
I mean,
more than that. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
that's just amazing.
We could spend days on that.
Well, I know with me, personally speaking, I know with me is if a person has a problem with me, call me.
Absolutely.
Because conflict delayed is conflict magnified. Do you understand
Good
that?
one. Good one.
Once again, conflict delayed is conflict magnified. And I can say it another way. Conflict avoided is conflict magnified. So if there's something on your chest that's really, really bothering you, and you choose not to say anything, you're actually going to start a war within yourself. And I'm not going to war with me. I'm just not going to do it. So if I have a problem with someone, I can't just jump in their face and, aggravate them, or I can't confront them. I have to use tact to address him or her and say, hey, listen, we need to talk. We got some issues going on. And so, not that I want to stay in conflict, but if you have a problem with me, use tact. Don't be disrespectful, but approach me.
Absolutely.
And let's get the conflict out of it. And I'm also learning by watching so many people that instead of you talking a mile, why don't you break that mile into say a quarter of a mile and improve your argument, increase your vocabulary, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you talk too much or you talk too long, you're going to lose people in your delivery.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. And I will tell you from a neurological perspective, for those of us who are autistic, we're going to do a lot better if you approach us gently than if you just come in our
my
faces.
point. Thank you, Sandra. Yes.
So,
maybe I should be a doctor.
That's one thing I know. I know, right? Your next job, you'll be a psychologist, right?
Oh my goodness, my next life I will. I'm all done with the books part. I enjoy reading, 3 or 4 books a year, but that's it. That's it. I'm
not
so
much of a
busy.
reader.
Amen.
And I'm a huge reader, but that's not on my list. But
Yeah.
that is the place we could go.
I'm learning so much about you, since high school.
Wow.
And everyone, the reason why I'm having the pleasure of having Sandra on my show is to come at the Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell show a bit different, to show that there are so many facets of life, not just martial arts and kicking and grabbing and flipping and punching and blocking and tournaments and stuff like that. And yes, I'm a 2-time Hall of Fame in martial arts, and I've done so many wonderful things in my 56 years of life, and I pray that I'm not finished yet, that God's not done with me yet. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm so widely able to do so many things that you just can't lock me into one thing. And let me explain that. Sometimes when people see you like, geez, Sandra, you know, you're a great reader. Well, by God bringing that gift to you, that's not just all you are.
No.
Because you're a great reader, why not be an author?
Right. Right.
Wow, Herbie, you're a phenomenal karate instructor. Well, God didn't give me that gift just to teach. He gave me that gift to open up a karate school and become a teacher, an instructor. God didn't allow me to have that karate school. Maybe he brought me there to own the building. You understand?
Could be.
So
You
there's
never know.
amen. So there's always something more to a person. But most people will look at someone and say, "Oh, just be a hairdresser."
Or she's blind.
Or
What can
she's
she
blind.
do?
Yeah, just do the best you
That's
can.
my favorite.
Right. But there's so much more to
Amen.
you. There's so much more to me that meets the eye. So I'm so honored right now, and I'm really blessed, Sandra, that you had the time for us to get together on my show and that I could show you off, you know, to not only my audience, but show you off to the world. And this is like so awesome, you know?
Thank you. I'm honored
So
too.
what else, Sandra, is
Okay.
Sandra Streeter doing? Because I just love hearing, I love hearing you.
Well, I'm a member of the Mystic River Chorale. That means I'm a singer, but I'm also part of their board of directors and a music committee on that board. So I have some say in what we do and how we do it.
Right.
So we are looking forward to getting into our new season in the fall. And we're not going to do a concert in the winter as we've been doing because we're just all trying to get our chops back
Right.
and get
right.
everybody where they need to be for COVID concerns and
Yes.
stuff like that. But we will be rehearsing up to the point when we do what we're projecting to be our next show, which will be in probably the spring sometime next year. So that's one thing. I'm also part of this group called Days for Girls. We haven't been able to meet for a while. I'm hoping that changes in the fall.
Now, what's that all about?
It is a group mostly of women, although men are certainly welcome to participate, by the way, little
Yep.
plug. And we put together sustainable sanitary kits for girls who live in third world countries
Yep.
and because of their cycle would not be culturally allowed to be in school. But when they have these kits, they suddenly find that they have 3 more months that they can be in school, if you count it all up, all the months. So I tend to be on non-sewing jobs in that realm, which is great. There's plenty to be had if you don't work on a sewing machine. So we get to help other people out, and that's another exciting thing that I do.
Wow.
Yeah,
Outstanding. Now, just on a side question.
Yes.
What's it like, Sandra, on a day-to-day basis in your world? What's it like day to day?
Life's good.
Yeah.
That's my summary.
Yeah.
It certainly involves its challenges, like getting ready for this. I compiled my list of 5 things, and I have 2 quotes for the end.
Yes.
all in
yes.
Braille.
Plenty of time. We're good.
Had to look up one of the quotes on Bible Gateway, so that was a little bit of a challenge because I had to Braille that out from an auditory program on a computer.
Wow.
So certainly challenges, but a lot of likes as well. So I have nothing to complain about,
Right.
really.
Now, when I text you or when I
Yes.
email you, how do you communicate that to yourself?
So I have what a lot of people have that are in the blind community. We have what they call screen readers, which are programs that enable our computer to tell us what's going on the screen.
Right.
For the most part. There are some hiccups that happen,
Yep.
but in terms of like regular text, I got an email from my mom last night about a party we're planning for the family.
Oh.
So I was able to go through that. You can go line by line, you can go paragraph by paragraph, word by word, whatever you need to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. And, you know, I wish I'd had that technology when we were in school because I
Oh,
could have
yeah.
proofed all my papers.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yes.
Probably got to meet a lot of people because I needed that assistance back then. So
And you know
God is
what's
good.
funny? You just touched on it once again. Technology, although it's necessary, but technology can separate us too.
It can.
Because we can rely on a text, we can rely on email or whatever, but you just touched on something that I miss. It's just talking to people. I have maybe well over 100 families at Bagwell Academy of Martial Arts in Millville, well over 100. And what's funny is that I got maybe 2 parents that will call me.
Wow.
Maybe 2. And the rest will either text me, email me. I even have families that fax me. It's the funniest thing in the world.
Wow.
I hear my phone ring one time, and then I look at my printer and I see a fax coming out. And it's it's a simple question. During inclement weather season, you know, like December and January,
Sure.
if we hear that it's going to snow, instead of a parent texting me, I get like a fax. Hi, Kyoshi Bagwell, is there going to be class today? And I just laugh, right? But I'm also hip to it mentally. So you know what? Let me go ahead and respond in like.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, sure.
And so, but I like what you said. You know, you are almost just forced to interact with people. Where nowadays, even though technology is great, I'm for all the creativity. I'm for all the out-of-box thinking. Don't think that I'm not grateful for that. Because it has saved a lot of lives. It has prolonged lives in the medical field and what have you. But at the end of the day, I just enjoy talking to people. I enjoy this one-on-one that we're having. This is great.
Yeah. I tend to, when you prioritize being on the phone versus being on tech,
Right.
I'm more of a tech person. I find that I can manage all the data better using tech, but of the 3, of tech, phone, and face-to-face, I prefer face-to-face. Then it goes to tech, then it goes to phone.
I understand.
So it's very intriguing, the differences amongst people in terms of what they prefer for communications,
right.
you know. But yeah, face-to-face is my preference too.
Yeah, outstanding.
yeah,
Now, what church do you belong to, and how long have you been there for, and stuff like that?
Okay, so I attend Bishop Seabury in Gales Ferry, Connecticut.
Gales Ferry, yep, I'm
Yep.
familiar.
And I've been there almost 2 years. Next month it'll be 2 years. So have enjoyed it very much. We went online for a while, and we still have that capacity, but we have been basically open door since probably May or June last year, since, you know, when we had to deal with the COVID
Right.
issues. So we're back, and it's great. So, yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Now, church.
Yes.
Now, you have transportation from the church or from friends that belong to the church. How's that work?
It's been very good. The transportation has not at all been a hassle.
Beautiful.
My next step is to get some Braille in there. Now, only 10% of the blind use Braille. I am one of them, and we just got new prayer books. You know, the new edition just came in. And as of yet, the diocese and, you know, the officials haven't really, I suppose it's probably they just haven't had time to work on it, but that's my next push.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, when it comes down to Braille, I have an e-book and I have a regular paperback.
Yes.
You just opened up my eyes to something. Now I'm going to push to get that book completely in Braille.
Awesome.
And I will have a signed autograph,
Awesome.
you know, for you, also in Braille. This is
Wow,
great.
how cool is that?
I'm going to look into that because, see, now I've always been that person that can think outside the box. I don't look at my circumstances. I don't look at what people are having issues and problems. I've never done that. I've always been able to look outside the box and look up to the one who woke me up this morning.
go.
And I never look at my circumstances. Nothing is ever bleak. Things may look a little troublesome,
Right.
but because, you know, but with God, all things are possible. So, Sandra, the one thing that you have opened up my ears and my eyes and my brain to really is about technology, how technology is great, don't get me wrong. I love all the new stuff out there, and like the new shoes and auditory stuff for people and updated equipment like at, all these hospitals saving lives and even prolonging lives. But sometimes technology can separate us as well.
Okay.
But the one thing I did like what you said was, when, growing up in junior high school, we call it junior high, they call it middle school
middle
now.
school now.
But growing up in junior high school, you were, quote unquote, forced to talk to people, and that's your preference even today.
Yeah, and I was painfully shy at that time. So
I remember.
I want to brag
remember.
on my friend here. Okay, I told him I didn't warn him I was going to do this, but I am. So there you go.
Yeah.
When we were in school, with being as painfully shy as I was, I wasn't social. I just couldn't engage with all my new peers in all the new situations. It was just overwhelming to me. Well, Herbie approached me one day and he goes, "Can I borrow your mirror?" Because I had this little mirror on the flap of my purse on the inside. And it was a tiny little kindness, but it was everything. It was one person reaching out to me, engaging me.
Yes.
And that, I came to think about it this week, and I'm like, that was really great.
Gosh, don't make me cry on my own TV show. I can't cry.
Okay, so I can make you not cry. I could go on with this list and give you the last 3 things if you like. Would that help?
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a few more minutes left. What you got?
So the third thing, which is smack dab in the middle, is that I am a rabid fan of the band Rush.
Rush.
I have a T-shirt on today that is of their late drummer lyricist Neil Peart. So I had to brag on that.
I remember those guys in high school.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And he had a lot of very wise things to say. I mean, I didn't agree with everything, but do you ever agree with everything anybody says?
No, not at all.
Yep. So so that's one thing, and I welcome any Rush fans to get in touch with me.
Right.
Because there aren't many of us locally, or at least not that I know of, but what do I know? So number 4 is that I'm a deep thinker. Can you tell?
Yeah.
I don't just go off the first thing that hits me when someone asks me a question. I usually head for 3 or 4 points because there's often quite a diversity of points there.
Yes.
So that's one. And my last one, which is to me the most important, is that I've been a person of faith from about the age of 16.
Wow.
So,
outstanding.
Yeah.
With God, all things are possible. I am
Amen.
a walking testimony.
Absolutely.
And the testing that God has put me through. People have so many ways of saying it, and so many times it's written differently in Bibles and, of course, in divine documents. But when you're going through the water, He won't let you drown. He'll be with you. When you're going through a fire, He will not allow you to be burned or even come out. You will come out without the smell of smoke.
Amen.
And when you're going through that river, the river will not overtake you. And so I tell people all the time, if people could just taste and see how good God is and stop trying to do everything on their own will and seek Him first, the kingdom of God and all of His righteousness, all will be added unto them. And I'm telling you, if you see my life now, it's amazing. We got like 5 seconds left, and I want to first say thank you, Sandra Streeter. This has been an absolute wonderful treat for me. And for all those out there watching the Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell TV show, may God keep you, may God love you, may God sustain you, and may God protect you and your family. On behalf of the Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell TV show, my wonderful guest, Sandra Streeter, thank you all, and good night.